My name is Sarah. I'm 20 years old. And in my family, my life is one long to-do list no one else reads. While my younger siblings laughed in the living room, my hands were in the sink. Greasy plates, overflowing trash. Midnight chores everyone pretended not to see. That night, I finally said it out loud. Why am I the only one doing everything? No apology, no pause, just a shrug, a laugh, an eye roll. Then my mom said the words I'd heard my whole life. You're too sensitive. That's when I realized they didn't just expect me to do everything. They expected me to stay quiet forever. Before we go on, tell me where you're watching from right now. A bedroom, a parked car, or a quiet corner you finally have to yourself? Echoes of Life is here with you. This didn't start that night. It started years earlier, quietly. I'm the oldest. In my house, that meant responsibility before choice. I learned early how to stay useful. Clean before being asked. Fix problems before they were noticed. Step in so no one else had to. My siblings had chores later. Later never came. They had homework, clubs, screens, excuses. I had the kitchen, the bills, the messes left behind after everyone went to bed. My mom liked to say I was mature. That word followed me everywhere. Mature meant reliable. Reliable meant unpaid. By the time I started college, the balance was set. Class all day, work in the evenings, cleaning at night, laundry folded while I studied, dishes washed while assignments downloaded, bills sorted while my siblings laughed in the next room. When I tried to explain, it never landed. You're better at this stuff. They're still kids. You handle stress better. Every sentence pushed the weight back onto me. If I cried, I was dramatic. If I asked for help, I was difficult. If I stayed quiet, everything ran smoothly. So I stayed quiet. I told myself this was temporary. That once school eased up, things would change. That once my siblings grew up, they'd help. But routines don't fade on their own. They harden. And somewhere along the way, being responsible stopped being a choice. It became my role. And roles like that don't disappear. They only end when someone walks away. The pressure didn't explode all at once. It stacked. Day after day, I came home exhausted, and the apartment looked exactly the same. Shoes by the door, cups on every surface. Food stuck to plates no one rinsed. I'd drop my bag, roll up my sleeves, and start again. Trash first. Then dishes. Then wiping counters that somehow never stayed clean. My phone would buzz with reminders. Electric bill due. Internet notice. A form my mom forgot to fill out. I handled it. I always did. Sometimes I'd catch my reflection in the microwave door. Tired eyes. Hair pulled back. A face that looked older than 20. From the living room, I'd hear laughter. A game blasting. Someone calling my name, not to help, but to ask where something was. Sarah, where's the charger? Sarah, do we have clean towels? Sarah, did you pay that thing? No one asked if I was okay. They asked if I'd already fixed it. I stopped sitting down when I got home. It felt pointless. If I rested, the mess waited. If I spoke up, I was starting something. So I stayed quiet and kept moving. I told myself this was what love looked like. Sacrifice. Patience. Holding things together so no one else had to. But late at night, when the apartment finally went quiet, my chest felt tight instead of calm. I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about how my siblings would grow up believing this was normal. That someone else always cleans. That someone else always pays attention. That someone else carries the weight. And that someone was me. I started tracking time without meaning to. How many hours I spent cleaning after everyone slept. How many mornings I woke up already tired. I realized something else then. No one was confused about what I did. They were comfortable. Comfortable knowing the trash would disappear. Comfortable knowing the bills were handled. Comfortable knowing I would absorb the stress so they didn't have to. And comfort like that doesn't change on its own. It survives because someone keeps paying the cost. The worst part wasn't the work. It was the way it disappeared. Clean floors were never noticed. Paid bills were never mentioned. Problems only existed when I didn't solve them fast enough. I started to realize something painful. If I kept going like this, they wouldn't thank me later. They wouldn't even remember. They would just expect it. And the moment I stopped, they wouldn't ask why I was tired. They'd ask what was wrong with me. That's when I understood this wasn't about chores anymore. It was about who they believed I was supposed to be. If this were your family, what would you do? Comment 1 if you'd stay quiet to keep the peace. Comment 2 if you'd stop carrying what isn't yours anymore. The room went quiet after I said it. Not peaceful. Heavy. My mom crossed her arms like she always did when she felt challenged. "If you don't like it here," she said, steady and dismissive, "you can leave." She had said that before, more than once. It was never meant as permission. It was meant to shut me down. This time, it landed differently. Instead of panic, I felt clarity. Clean, sharp, like a switch had flipped. I looked at her and nodded. "Okay," I said. She blinked. "Don't be ridiculous." "I'm not," I replied. "I'm taking you at your word." Everyone started talking at once. Accusations. Laughs. Someone muttered that I was being dramatic. I wasn't listening anymore. I walked to my room and closed the door. For the first time that night, the noise stopped. My hands were shaking, but it wasn't fear. It was adrenaline. I sat on the edge of my bed and asked myself a question I had avoided for years. What if I actually leave? Not someday. Not after things calm down. Now. I grabbed my phone and texted Mia from work, the one person who had watched me juggle school, shifts, and home. "Can I ask you something insane?" She answered in seconds. "Always. What happened?" I told her everything. The fight. The chart. The sentence that changed everything. "I think I really want to go," I wrote. She didn't try to calm me down. She didn't tell me to be patient. She said one thing. "Then let's figure out how." I opened a rental app. Rooms near campus. Shared apartments. Nothing fancy. One listing stopped me. Small room. Old building. Cheap enough to be possible. I stared at the photos longer than I meant to. Bare walls. A narrow bed. A window. It didn't look like much. It looked like freedom. I messaged the landlord. My heart raced. My phone rang. "You can see it tonight," he said. Tonight. I told my mom I was going for a walk. She didn't even look up. "Take your keys," she said. "Don't be late." The room was exactly what I expected. Quiet. Plain. Mine. "Do you want it?" the landlord asked. "There's another person interested." "Yes," I said before I could talk myself out of it. When I walked out, the keys were cold in my hand. Real. Back home, I packed a duffel bag. Clothes, laptop, documents. I wasn't running away. I was moving out. I stepped into the hallway. My mom looked up finally. "Where are you going with that?" I met her eyes. "I'm doing what you told me to do." The TV hummed behind me, canned laughter spilling into the room. My mom didn't laugh. I zipped the duffel bag. The sound felt louder than it should have. Soap was still drying on my hands. The smell followed me into the hallway. The keys in my pocket were cold, heavy enough to be real. For the first time, no one stopped me. That's when I realized leaving wasn't the threat. It was the consequence they never believed I'd choose. The fallout didn't wait long. It started the next morning. Texts first, then calls. "Where did you put the detergent?" "How do I pay the internet?" The power company left a message. I was sitting on my new bed, holding a paper cup of coffee, listening to the silence of a room that stayed clean without me touching anything. I didn't rush back. I answered some messages, the ones that were actual questions, not demands. "The login is on the bill. Call the number listed. You'll need to set up autopay." Then the tone changed. "You can't just disappear. This is selfish. We're family." I stared at the screen and felt something shift again. For the first time, I wasn't guilty. I was clear. I wasn't disappearing. I was stepping out of a role. 3 days in, my phone rang late at night. A video call. I answered. The camera showed the kitchen. Overflowing sink. Trash bags piled by the door. A sticky counter no one had wiped. My brother's face filled the screen. Panicked. "We can't do this," he said. "Everything's falling apart." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was familiar. "That's what it always looked like," I said. "You just never noticed because I fixed it." He rubbed his face. "Just come back and help." "No," I replied calmly. "If I fix it again, nothing changes." My mom's voice cut in from off-screen. "Sarah, stop this. You've made your point." "This isn't a point," I said. "This is my life." There was a pause, long enough for the truth to settle. The next day, the messages slowed. Not kinder, more practical. "How do you reset the router?" "How often do you clean the bathroom?" "Where's the landlord's number?" I answered those. I didn't go over. I didn't organize. I didn't take control. I let them struggle. And something strange happened. They started learning. Not gracefully, not quietly. But for the first time, the weight wasn't invisible. Late fees appeared. Schedules slipped. The house stopped running on autopilot. They weren't angry because I left. They were angry because the work finally landed on them. I wasn't being cruel. I was being honest. I wasn't punishing them. I was refusing to keep paying the cost of their comfort. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did for them. The silence that followed felt different. Not empty. Earned. Days passed without emergency calls. Then weeks. My phone still buzzed sometimes, but not with panic, with questions. Real ones. How do you budget groceries? What's a normal cleaning schedule? Can you explain autopay again? I answered when I wanted to. Not because I had to. For the first time, my time belonged to me. My new room stayed clean without effort. One mug in the sink, one load of laundry. No one yelling my name from another room. I slept better, not longer, deeper. A month later, my mom showed up at my door. She looked tired. Different. I didn't realize how much you were doing, she said quietly. I believed her, and that surprised me. She didn't ask me to move back. She didn't ask me to fix anything. I told her what I could offer. I can visit. I can be your daughter. I can give advice when you ask. But I won't manage bills. I won't be the default fixer. I won't live there again. She nodded. Slowly. Like she finally understood the rules had changed. I visit sometimes now. For dinner. As a guest. There's a chore chart on the fridge. Everyone's name is on it. Mine isn't. When something spills, someone else wipes it up. When a bill is due, it gets handled. Not perfectly. But honestly. I used to think leaving meant abandoning my family. I was wrong. I didn't leave them. I left the role that was breaking me. I learned something important through all of this. Being strong doesn't mean carrying everything. And being sensitive doesn't mean being wrong. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is stop saving people from consequences they refuse to notice. I wasn't too sensitive. I was finally honest. If this story felt familiar to you, you're not alone. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories of quiet strength. This is Echoes of Life, and more stories are coming.